Good morning. As part of our series of lectures from Research Advanced in Surgery, today we will have a lecture on management of inflammatory breast cancer. So let me share my screen. Okay. Inflammatory breast cancer is a rare and fast-growing breast cancer, and is taken as one of the aggressive form of breast cancer. The incidence is not very high; it's about 2 to 4% of all breast cancers, most common in African Americans. There has been a recent increase in this form of cancer in white women, and some regions of Africa has very higher incidence. In India, the exact incidence is not known, but the incidence varies between 5 to 10%. This inflammatory breast cancer has a poor outcome in comparison to non-inflammatory breast cancers. However, there has been some improvement outcome with combination of neoadjuvant chemotherapy, surgery, and targeted therapy. In inflammatory breast cancer, the skin looks red and inflamed. These breast cancer cells has tendency to invade the lymphatic and block lymphatic channel. That leads to cutaneous lymphatic edema, giving the appearance of pseudo-orange. And average, in most of the patients, more than 2/3 of the skin of the breast are involved. So what are the criteria? There are some criteria to give a diagnosis of inflammatory breast cancer. So these are the cancer which has got a rapid onset and progressive swelling of the whole breast. Duration of history is usually not more than 6 months. There is erythema in the skin, edema involving the skin, giving an pale-orange appearance, and this can involve more than 2/3 of the breast. There is increased warmth and tenderness over the breast. There may or may not be a palpable tumor underneath, and pathologically there is invasion of this tumor emboli into the lymphovascular system. Frequently, this patient has axial node involvement. So you need to differentiate between a primary inflammatory breast cancer and secondary inflammatory breast cancer. In primary inflammatory breast cancer, all these characteristics of breast cancer comes up in a patient who has got a previously healthy breast. That is, there is simultaneous development of inflammatory skin changes and the underlying malignancy. In secondary inflammatory breast cancer, patient either may have a previous malignancy or has a mastectomy scar or changes caused by radiation. And this inflammatory changes comes up when there is a pre-existing breast cancer. But the decision is not very clear. However, it is studied and concluded that patient having a locally advanced disease with inflammatory changes has got worse prognosis than others. So what is the pathology in inflammatory breast cancer? There is no specific histopathologic criteria for diagnosis of inflammatory breast cancer. Most of the patients' discrete tumor in the breast parenchyma may be absent. These are mostly ductal carcinoma with very high grade. There is extensive lymphovascular invasion by the tumor emboli. This involves the superficial dermal plexus of vessels leading to pseudo-orange appearance. These are highly angiogenic. There is a lot of vessel formations and these are angioinvasive. This rapid growth of cancer cells inside the lymphatics and the blood vessels leads to erythema in the skin of the breast. What are the molecular subtypes of inflammatory breast cancer? These molecular subtypes of breast cancer includes ER positive, PR positive, and HER2 negative. Most of these patients are not hormone receptor positive. It's about 30% in inflammatory breast cancer versus 60 to 80% in non-inflammatory breast cancer. The HER2 positivity is little higher, 40% in inflammatory breast cancer versus 20% non-inflammatory breast cancer. Triple negative cancers are more common in IBC, 30% versus 15% in non-IBC. All molecular subtypes are more aggressive in inflammatory breast cancer. And there are poorer disease-free survival and overall survival in inflammatory breast cancer. So what are the genetic changes in patient inflammatory breast cancer? There is no specific genetic mutation observed in inflammatory breast cancer, but association with P53 tumor suppressing mutation has been observed in some cases. There may be P53 mutations in 20 to 50% in all breast cancer patients. In some series, it has been observed there is more incidence of P53 mutation in inflammatory breast cancer. Most of the patients of inflammatory breast cancer may show loss of heterozygosity with loss of alleles at different chromosomal locus, like 3p, 6p, 8p. Patient having a P53 mutation or P53B protein overexpression has higher risk of death from breast cancer. Patient with ER negative disease has 17.9-fold increased risk of death. In addition to this, there is overexpression of ROCK GTPase with inflammatory breast cancer, with cell lines in SUM149 and loss of WSP3 gene in locally advanced breast cancer. Other tumor suppressor gene may also be associated with the invasiveness and metastatic potential of breast cancer. So, inflammatory breast cancer is a clinically aggressive disease with an overall worse prognosis than non-inflammatory breast cancer. And most effective targeted treatments are required for inflammatory breast cancer. In a study from MD Anderson Cancer Center with 65 patients with LABC, including inflammatory breast cancer with a median follow-up 90 months, the median progression-free survival was 24 months for IBC with a confidence interval of 19 to 29 and 35 months for non-IBC patients. The median overall survival was 42 months for inflammatory breast cancer and 60 months for non-IBC patients. So in patient with inflammatory breast cancer, there are a lot of inflammatory cytokines which are released in the local site. This inflammation in inflammatory breast cancer is because of tumor cell invasion of the dermal lymphatics. In the tumor microenvironment, there are inflammatory cells, immune cells, matrix cells, and the cancer cells. They produce bioactive molecules which interact with each other and result in a complex signal transduction, which regulate inflammatory breast cancer formation, development, and progression. Aberrant expression of these inflammatory factors and immune factors promote carcinogenesis, tumor cell proliferation, migration, invasion, and metastasis. And lot of cytokines like interleukin 1, 2, gamma interferon are found to be marginally raised. There is increase in vascular endothelial growth factor, fibroblastic growth factor, IL-6, IL-8, and these are linked to overexpression of ROCK GTPase gene. This overexpression of vascular endothelial growth factor and other growth factor results in lymphogenesis, and they result in onset of distant metastasis early in the course of disease. So how does this patient of inflammatory breast cancer presents to us? The symptoms are of rapid onset and rapid progression. Patient presents with diffuse breast enlargement. A lump may or may not be present. There is redness involving the skin. There will be warmth and tenderness. The skin of the breast looks like bruised. There is dimpling, ridges, or thickening of the skin. There may be extensive proteinuria changes. Often, this can be mistaken as inflammatory lesion like mastitis. There will be itching of the breast. In some cases, the nipple may be inverted. These are the patients who can present with a swelling or lumps in the axilla or the neck. Some patients may have distant spread at diagnosis. These are classically described as T4D disease in HSC staging. So these are the patients where you have an extensive erythema involving more than 2/3 of the breast, and you have extensive proteinuria changes which can involve more than 2/3 of the breast. These are the two very important features of inflammatory breast cancer. There may be nipple retraction, or patient can present with axillary node enlargement. So what are the differential diagnoses of patient presenting with inflammatory breast cancer? The most common differential diagnosis, and most of the time, some patient may undergo even incision drainage. This is acute breast abscess. The differentiating points are, if you start the patient on antibiotics, these are the patients who are unlikely to respond to antibiotics. And if you make an incision and drainage, you will find no pus coming out. And more so, these are the patients who does not have any systemic symptoms like fever and leukocytosis. The other DD includes a dark ectasia, lymphoma, acute leukemia. Hematological profile will help in diagnosis of lymphoma and leukemias. So what are the different investigations? One important investigation for IBC is said to be a medical photography. On presentation, you take a good photograph because these are important. Most of the patient will go for neoadjuvant treatment. And once neoadjuvant is given, this tumor can regress. The skin changes can regress. So this important photograph in the pre-op stage will help in planning further therapy afterwards. Patient may be seen by a multidisciplinary team after the patient received chemotherapy. So going through this medical photograph, they can make out what was the initial extent of the disease. So a good medical photograph is taken as a good investigation for IBC. Ultrasound. The most important part of the triple assessment, ultrasound can have some important finding in patient who has got a IBC. So most of the patient may not have a underlying mass in the breast. However, the skin thickening can be made out in ultrasonography. There will be hyperechoic foci representing calcifications. It can demonstrate breast and chest wall edema. It can show you the nodal involvement and characteristic features of a nodal metastasis. Ultrasound can help you to find any other lesion in the opposite breast. It can help in nodal staging and US guided biopsy from the breast lesion. So these are the ultrasound. There is no discrete mass, but there is gross thickening of the breast parenchyma and the skin region with some nodularity. Bilateral mammogram is again a part of workup. This can show skin thickening, trabecular thickening and distortion. This can show increased breast density. There will be microcalcification, can show axillary lymphadenopathy, and also is important for evaluation of the contralateral breast. So you find there is diffuse increase in density in the breast. There may be areas of small areas of microcalcification. There may be nipple retraction and skin thickening. MRI is one important modality of investigation patient having inflammatory breast cancer because routine ultrasound and mammography may not reveal underlying breast mass. So in the background of such thickening of skin and perioral changes, MRI is a very important investigation for inflammatory breast cancer where you can pick up the primary breast lesion in almost 100% of patient. And this lesion can be targeted for core biopsy. MRI is most important for diagnosis of multicentric disease. Sometimes this skin thickening can involve the skin of the opposite breast. So the contralateral skin involvement can be made out in MRI. On contrast enhancement, there may be enhancement of the lesion with delays washout. So there will be initial rapid enhancement with delays washout or plateau curve is seen most of the inflammatory breast cancer. A study comparing the vascular patterns in fetus and IBC patients with those of 154 non-invasive demonstrated significant difference in pattern of angiogenesis. So these all can be picked up in MRI. So MRI can show skin thickening. MRI can show diffuse breast enlargement and some contrast enhancement with delays washout. It can show you multicentric disease. It can show you a discrete mass which can be targeted for core biopsy. Next is biopsy. Biopsy is very important, and inflammatory breast cancer is a clinical pathologic entity. The image-guided core needle biopsy is standard of care if you have an underlying breast mass. If the breast mass is not palpable, you can get a diagnosis by taking a skin punch biopsy with 2 millimeter to 8 millimeter skin punch biopsy, which can show lymphovascular tumor emboli in the skin. However, absence of lymphovascular emboli does not rule out the diagnosis. Inflammatory breast cancer is generally ductal in a region. However, other variant of mammary carcinoma can also be encountered in inflammatory breast cancer. So the characteristics of inflammatory breast cancer are non-contiguous areas of infiltration. There may be reduced density of tumor cells. There may be edema of the stroma separating the clusters of tumor cells. For this to demonstrate, you need a very high quality core biopsy sample. What is the immunohistochemistry pattern in inflammatory breast cancer? These are the patient who can express ERPR and HER2/neu. And as we said, the ERPR positivity is less, HER2/neu positivity is more in case of inflammatory breast cancer. The hallmark of inflammatory breast cancer is overexpression of E-cadherin. E-cadherin is a calcium-dependent transmembrane glycoprotein responsible for cell adhesion. And overactive E-cadherin beta-catenin axis critical for the genesis of lymphocyte tumor emboli in inflammatory breast cancer. IBC can belong to any type of currently known intrinsic subtypes of breast cancer. This is on immunohistochemistry. So once you made the diagnosis, what are the recommended staging workup? The most important staging workup in inflammatory breast cancer is a positive emission tomography with a computed tomography. This can detect the distant metastasis, which is commonly in inflammatory breast cancer, can detect axillary disease or disease in the opposite side. Is a standard investigation for metastatic bone disease. This can assess the locoregional disease extent, aiding radiation and surgical planning. However, PET-CT may sometimes upstage the disease. And this PET-CT may also be useful for assessing response to neoadjuvant therapy. However, if PET-CT is not available, a combination of bone scan with standard CT scan of chest, abdomen, pelvis may be an alternative to this PET scan. So, if you take a PET scan, you can see the diffuse uptake in the involved breast with no uptake in the normal breast. You may have a uptake in the lungs in patient having, you see, there is in a whole breast is involved with the uptake. On the right side, you can see the liver. There are some hypotenuse lesion which are having increased uptake of the PET, and you can see the vertebral body on the right where there is increased uptake. There is increased uptake in the lung field. So, because of the aggressive behavior of the inflammatory breast cancer, experts tend to recommend PET-CT as a staging workup tool. However, the other modalities are also acceptable. So, how do you treat inflammatory breast cancer? The results of treatment of inflammatory breast cancer were dismal. However, combination chemotherapy with chemotherapy, radiotherapy, surgery, and targeted therapy has resulted in some improvement in outcome. These are the patients who should be managed by a team of dedicated and experienced specialists like pathologists, surgeon, radiotherapist, diagnostic imager, medical oncologist, and a nurse for better outcome. Most of the patients on presentation are stage 3 inflammatory breast cancer. The prime modality for treatment is a upfront primary systemic chemotherapy or chemotherapy with targeted therapy. And this is followed by locoregional treatment in the form of radiation and surgery. Patient with stage 4 disease, that means patients who are having a metastatic disease on presentation, the primary systemic therapy to achieve optimal response, and most of the time the treatment is a palliative care. These patients may be evaluated afterwards for evaluation for surgery and radiation, that means for locoregional treatment using a multidisciplinary approach, because stage 4 disease is not curable. Whatever you provide is a palliative care. So what does a locoregional treatment involves? This involves treatment with radiotherapy, with or without surgery. Impact of surgery and radiation therapy in terms of time to progression of subacute are controversial. Patients showing significant clinical response to systemic therapy and have a long life expectancy, intensive local regional therapy is an important issue. So how you treat patient having HER2/neu negative disease. The primary treatment is systemic chemotherapy with anthracyclines and taxanes. These are the most effective cytotoxics in primary breast cancer and inferior breast cancer as well. These are given in sequence. Patient is being started with either with AC, adriamycin cyclophosphamide, or FAC, followed by taxane with addition of docetaxel or paclitaxel is the standard of care. It has been found that combination of taxanes, doxorubicin, and cyclophosphamide achieve the highest pathological complete response rate, and this should be followed by locoregional treatment. What is the role of capecitabine in inflammatory breast cancer? In some studies, it has been observed that addition of 6 to 8 cycles of oral capecitabine in addition to the neoadjuvant systemic therapy is helpful. There is increase in disease-free and overall survival in hard to new negative breast cancers. So in triple negative breast cancer, consider adding capecitabine to adjuvant treatment who do not achieve a PCR with standard chemotherapy regime. So how to treat hard to new positive disease? As I said, hard to new is overexpressed in 40% of inflammatory breast cancer patients. So in these patients, start with anthracycline-based chemotherapy and then adapt with taxanes. And patients having hard to new positive disease are being benefited by addition of weekly trastuzumab. And once the patient respond, continue with the maintenance trastuzumab for about a year. However, recently, use of dual anti-HR2 agent has been found to be more effective. A combination of trastuzumab and pertuzumab is more effective than only adding trastuzumab. So consensus opinions consider dual anti-HR2 therapy, pertuzumab, trastuzumab, combined chemotherapy for 1 year. So the standard of care now is to give combination chemotherapy with trastuzumab and pertuzumab for about a year. There has been improvement of 5 years event-free survival, 64% compared with 24%, and improvement of 5 years survival to the tune of 74% in patients with inflammatory breast cancer. There are some trials which has shown better pathologic complete response rate with use of targeted therapy. In NOH trial, trastuzumab to chemotherapy, PCR will increase to 48%. And in Neosphere study, dual therapy with systemic therapy, PCR rate was about 45.8%. In Trifina trial, where a non-anthracycline based chemotherapy, that is again a area of concern that in some patients who are not responding to standard chemotherapy, adding carboplatin and dual anti-HR therapy has resulted in better complete pathology response rate to about 64%. But at the moment, there is no enough evidence to substitute platin for anthracyclines. In affinity trial, taxanes and dual anti-HR therapy is continued for 1 year. There is modest reduction in disease recurrence events by 7.1% compared with 8.7%. So how to treat hormone receptor positive inflammatory breast cancer? The standard of care is to give tamoxifen for 10 years in postmenopausal women and aromatase inhibitors for 5 years in postmenopausal women. In SOFT trial, ovarian suppression has been recommended for premenopausal women, and that has shown benefit in disease-free survival and overall survival. What is the role of surgery in inflammatory breast cancer? These are the aggressive cancers, and the primary treatment is a initial neoadjuvant systemic therapy. Once the patient has got a good response to neoadjuvant systemic therapy, one should consider locoregional treatment, and one of the important is surgery. The standard of care for this inflammatory breast cancer is going for a modified radical mastectomy and consider for delayed reconstruction. A critical concern in such situation is to not to leave the disease behind. So you need to excise large area of skin, achieving a negative margin and remove the involved skin will require a long and large defect. So mastectomy is the standard of care regardless of the response in inoperable patients. However, breast conserving surgery and skin perimastectomy is contraindicated in inflammatory breast cancer. For breast reconstruction is delayed. Immediate breast reconstruction is not recommended in patient inflammatory breast cancer, and different flaps like LD flap, TAM flap, LICAP and ICAP flap will be used for reconstruction. So here the patient has got large area of skin excision. There is no role for doing immediate breast reconstruction using an implant. Immediate reconstruction is suboptimal because these are the patients who require post-mastectomy radiotherapy, and radiotherapy can cause detriment of this reconstruction cosmesis. And immediate reconstruction with a bulky flap may impair radiation dose to the internal mammary nodes and deep chest wall. Although BCS is contraindicated in this group of patients, there has been some reports from UK where they have used BCS in some select group of patients. They have reviewed 35 patients in database for 14-year period, where the median follow-up 80 months, where they have done BCS, and they found the local regional recurrence-free survival is 87.5% at 5 years, with actual survival 70%. But these are not a current recommendation for all patients with IBC. This may be a cohort of patients who are very selected subgroup of patients diagnosed with IBC and low disease burden. So in sum, in unequivocal inflammatory breast cancer, mastectomy, irrespective of response, role of breast cancer is controversial, may be considered in a very selected group of patients where there is low disease burden. And even if the patient is undergoing a breast conserving surgery, patients should be counseled for uncontrolled locoregional recurrence. Delayed reconstruction is recommended with autologous tissue. For lymphedema, one can consider doing a lymphovenous bypass or a vascular lymph node transfer. And with this lymphedema reduction surgery, 87% patients have reported subjective improvement. What to do in progressive disease? Disease progression during systemic therapy, you may need to consider changing the anti-chemotherapeutic drugs, or you can add other targeted therapies like lapatinib. They are the patients who require close monitoring. And if the disease is going to a phase of inoperable stage, patient need to identify the transition period so that you can consider doing a mastectomy. What is the role of radiation therapy? Radiation therapy is another form of locoregional therapy, and this radiation should involve the target areas like chest wall, supraclavicular, infraclavicular, and internal mammary chain nodes. And here comes the importance of medical photographs. If you have a medical photograph and patient has taken neoadjuvant chemotherapy, patient has regression of the mass, this radiation field should cover the area of original involvement in the skin. It has been found that the recurrence can occur on the medial side of the scar. So if required, part of the contralateral breast may also be irradiated. And the standard radiation dose is 50 gray with a chest wall boost of 10 gray. However, it is found that in young patients who has got poor response to chemotherapy, a boost of 16 gray is better than 10 gray boost in the chest wall. What are the molecular determinants of inflammatory breast cancer? Inflammatory breast cancer is an invasive carcinoma of very high histological grade. The different molecular markers which are suggestive of aggressive disease include high S phase, more aneuploidy, absent ER expression, high expression of p53 and epidermal growth factors. So these are the factors which indicates a more aggressive form of the disease. more expression of P53, as I already said, that there is more expression of P53 mutation in patient with IBC. So, insight from this epidemiological studies, there has been different studies in biology of the inflammatory-based cancer, and a lot of molecular targets has been identified which acts in the vascular lymphatic, proliferation, and metastatic process. However, these unique targets are not in use at the moment. They are being validated in clinical trials. However, the established therapy at the moment is anti-HER2 therapy, where you can treat with a combination of trastuzumab and pertuzumab. Some molecular target has been identified, and this includes HER2 substances, anti-HER2, trastuzumab, pertuzumab, epithelial growth factor receptor antagonist, and lapatinib is another drug which has both HER2 anti-activity and EGFR inhibitor. And there are a lot of other cell proliferation targets which are also being studied in inflammatory breast cancer. One of these is E-cadherin or overexpression inflammatory breast cancer. Loss of E-cadherin is a hallmark of epithelial mesenchymal transition, which leads to invasion and metastasis in inflammatory breast cancer. A panitumumab, a human EGFR antibody plus chemotherapy with paclitaxel, is being used as a preoperative regimen in patients with HER2 negative breast cancer. Stage 4 disease is a systemic disease, and most of the patient requires palliative care. So, in stage 4 disease, the primary treatment is a primary systemic chemotherapy and some targeted therapy. There is no consensus for institutional standard for chemotherapy regimens. If the patient requires some local control, the local treatment may be considered, provided patient has good performance status and patient has good quality of life. So, in summary, if you summarize the inflammatory breast cancer, there are some consensus for management of inflammatory breast cancer. So, basically, they are the patient who should be evaluated by triple assessment. In relation to clinical examination, you should have medical photograph. You need an ultrasound or mammography, MRI in select cases, PET-CT, or alternatively CT abdomen, chest, and bone scan. So, these are the important consensus for evaluation of patient. So, these are the important optimal workup. We already discussed. You take a good medical photograph, which will help in subsequent planning. Take a good bilateral mammogram, ultrasonography. A breast MRI is helpful in number of situations where you have no discrete lump being palpable, or even the lump is there, it is better picked up in MRI. PET-CT is a standard of care for diagnosis of distant metastatic disease and also for evaluation of the local disease. So, what is the consensus for IBC management? There is no doubt that the primary treatment is neoadjuvant systemic therapy. And local regional therapy includes surgery and radiotherapy. The standard of care for surgery is a standard modified radical mastectomy, skin pairing mastectomy, sentinel node biopsy, and contralateral profiling mastectomy is not recommended. Following surgery, adjuvant treatment with radiotherapy, test for infant person is recommended. Consider for hormone receptor positive tumors, endocrine therapy is appropriate. One can consider ovarian suppression with tamoxifen premenopausal women and aromatase with the postmenopausal women. Delayed reconstruction at a gap of 6 months to 1 year is recommended once the local control is achieved. However, there are some areas of controversies in management of inflammatory breast cancer. We have found that some studies have used carboplatin instead of anthracycline. So, use of carboplatin has been used with some better outcome, but still the use is controversial. In most centers, they use anthracycline with taxanes. The optimal use of paclitaxel, it has been found that if we give a weekly schedule of taxane for about a year, the response is better. And regarding anti-HR2 therapy, the standard of care was using trastuzumab, but subsequently now the standard of care is people are saying that a dual anti-HR2 therapy is better than a single therapy. The radiotherapy regime is different. The doses and the areas of radiation is also different and that been consensus. And the question of ovarian suppression with tamoxifen or pembrolizumab is also not very well standardized. So what are the molecular determinants of inflammatory breast cancer? It's a cancer of very high histological grade. And as I already said that these are the markers of aggressive tumor and overexpression of P53. So if you take this AL algorithm for management of newly diagnosed inflammatory breast cancer, once a clinical diagnosis is achieved, patients should be discussed in a multidisciplinary team. Most of the patient goes to neoadjuvant chemotherapy. And if it is HR2 neo positive disease, addition of trastuzumab and pertuzumab. Once the systemic therapy is over, patient is re-evaluated. On the left side, if there is a partial response or complete response, consider local regional treatment with surgery and radiotherapy. And if it is hormone receptor positive, consider hormone therapy. If there is no response or poor response, patient is not operable, consider doing radiotherapy and addition of hormone therapy if there is hormone receptor positive. Patient having extensive residual disease after optimal pre-op chemotherapy, they are the patient who has got a very grim prognosis. And most of the time, the other local treatment is not feasible in this patient. In these patients, the role of alternate and further adjuvant chemotherapy remains to be established. Patient having suboptimal response to radiotherapy alone or followed by surgical resection represent an adequate local regional treatment. There may be some failure, but if feasible, a patient has good quality of life, he can do a local regional treatment. So in conclusion, IBC is an aggressive form of breast cancer. Most of the patients diagnosed late. Most patients at diagnosis may have axillary nodal involvement or systemic disease. The outcome of treatment was dismal. However, with advent of newer chemotherapy, with advent of newer targeted therapies and local regional treatment, there has been some improvement in survival of this patient. And newer molecular therapy may give some hope for better outcome in these patients. Thank you. I can answer some questions if there is anything in the chat box. Yeah. You see, how to confirm and support the diagnosis? We have discussed that a good number of patients may not have an underlying breast mass. So the diagnosis will be based on clinical evaluation, finding the onset of the disease, rapid onset, rapid progress, involvement of the whole breast with a large area of erythema, large area of skin thickening, large area of period orange change. Some cases may have nipple retraction. Some patient may have axillary nodal involvement. Some patient may have features of distant metastasis. So these are the clinical evaluation. Next is, as part of nipple assessment, we can do an ultrasonography, and you have discussed the findings in ultrasonography. We can do a mammography. In some cases, you consider doing a MR. And the final diagnosis will come from the histology or biopsy. You can do a image-guided biopsy if a mass could be made out, a image-guided core biopsy. If there is no discrete mass, you can take biopsy, skin punch biopsy, based on from 2 millimeter to 8 millimeter thickness which can show you the tumor emboli in the lymphatics and the stromal tissue. So these are the ways you can diagnose and support the diagnosis. Okay. Anything else? Yeah. If no mass is palpable, you can take multiple sites of core biopsy, not from the mass, from the breast tissue itself, and take skin punch biopsy. Yes. Because if there is no mass palpable, you cannot take a biopsy of the mass itself. But as a whole, the breast parenchyma is infilled by the tumor cells. You may have tumors in the vessels and the lymphatic channels. So you can take some few throws of core biopsy into the breast parenchyma and take skin punch biopsy. So we will have a December program from 2nd. We'll start with the faculty lecture. We have one more class tomorrow.
Oh. Tomorrow we have a case presentation on squamous cell carcinoma.
Yeah,
second we have a seminar.
Oh, second. Okay. So December program is ready. We'll post today. Thank you.